Hello everyone, this is Second Viewings, and in this video I'm going to be looking at the Boondock Saints, released in 1999. The movie centers around two brothers, played by Sean Patrick Flanery and Norman Reedus, who have started killing criminals in the name of justice around Boston, primarily the Russian and Italian mafia. However, the Boston police, led by Willem Dafoe, believe that this form of justice is still murder. So, the movie is a big long cat and mouse chase between these two opposing groups. Now, I will be revealing major spoilers throughout this video, so if you haven't seen this movie and you don't want it ruined, then I suggest stopping this video right now. I saw this movie several years ago, and I wouldn't say I hated it, but I definitely thought it was overrated and I had no intention on watching it again. After all, I thought this movie was romanticizing this form of justice without looking at both sides of the issue. I thought this was especially true during the interviews at the end credits.
Love the Saints, man. They're doing a great job. Keep it going, man. Get these murderers off the streets.
One thing worth mentioning is that I was watching Death Note when I first saw Boondock Saints, so I definitely liked the idea of one person being judge, jury, and executioner. However, I preferred the way this was handled in Death Note more, and if Boondock Saints was only going to romanticize it, then it's not for me. Now, I forgot a lot about this movie, but one thing I remembered was, major spoiler, in 3, 2, 1, Willem Dafoe's character Paul Smecker revealing that he sympathizes with the Saints and also wants to kill criminals in the name of justice.
Out there, these two guys fixed the situation with an iron fist as if they had God's permission. I believe that these young men are right.
I did not like this, mainly because I thought it came right out of nowhere. Considering that he was a good detective, why would he think this way, and what parts in the movie led up to this? To me, it just felt like a cheap plot twist. Well, I shared this opinion with a friend of mine, and he said, there are some people out there who would really disagree with you. And this made me curious. Was there something I completely missed about this character? If there's anything that made me want to watch this movie again, it was this. So, what did I think of this movie the second time? So normally after watching a movie the second time, you realize just how much of it you didn't remember. This is definitely true with me, but after watching Boondock Saints, the main question I'm asking is, how did I not remember this? Take one of the opening scenes. The two brothers, Connor and Murphy McManus, get visited by the Russian mafia, thus leading to a scene where one of them breaks off a toilet, drops it off a building onto a gangster, and then jumps off the same building onto the other gangster, thus knocking them both out. Seriously, how did I forget about this? Let's start off with the main idea in this movie. Killing horrible people in the name of justice. Yes. This did bother me at first because I thought that they should present both sides of the issue and not glorify it. However, it's pretty clear that the writers aren't taking this idea too seriously and wanting to spark great moral and ethical debates. First of all, there's little to no story in this movie. We have the McManus brothers decide to start killing people for justice and to make a living, and then the rest of the movie is a series of shootouts and detectives discussing those said shootouts. In this movie, we have three different groups of people: the vigilante McManus brothers, the mafia, and the detectives. First, let me get this out of the way, there is not a lot to the mafia in this movie. They give our protagonist something to shoot at while making sure that the audience stays on their side, because no one likes the mafia, right? In fact, the most interesting characters are the ones who end up switching sides later on in the movie, but more on that later. So what did I think of the main protagonists in this movie? They're alright, but from what I could tell, they don't really have distinguishable characteristics. If you had Connor McManus do everything Murphy McManus did and vice versa, would you really be able to tell the difference? The only difference in character that I noticed was during the scene where the brothers are buying their weapons. Connor wants to use rope, but Murphy thinks that that's unnecessary.
There's got a lot of rope strapped around them in the movies, and they always end up using it.
You've lost it, haven't you?
No, I'm serious.
Me too, that's stupid. And one thing, you're gonna need a rope for it.
I don't fucking know what you're gonna need it for. They just always need it.
This is mainly played for laughs, and you could argue that this makes Murphy a little more frugal, but that's a stretch. And as for the rest of the movie, it didn't seem like there were any differences between these two. One thing that makes the protagonist fun to watch is Rocco, one of the three characters that ends up switching sides throughout the movie. First of all, I did not remember that he was a part of the mafia. The main impression I had of this character at first was that he was way too obnoxious. I understand that he's comic relief, but in my opinion, either do comic relief well, or don't do it at all. Well, I still believe that, but he didn't get on my nerves as much this time around. We're definitely not supposed to take this relationship seriously because he jeopardizes them way too often. I know he's their inside guy who shows the brothers the best people to kill, but there's a scene where he goes into a restaurant and shoots someone in broad daylight.
That was funny, wasn't it? That was real fucking funny, not me!
And they still keep him around! The only thing funnier is when he kills his girlfriend's cat, which is one of the few things I remember the first time around.
I'm doing it. It is.
Now let's talk about the detectives, primarily Paul Smecker, played by Willem Dafoe. From my perception, the other three detectives only exist to make Paul Smecker look really smart, get frustrated, and explain the crime scene to the audience.
Why did he kill the bartender?
Crime of passion. Just went nuts. Just shot everyone in here. Just ran out of bullets.
Does this look like a friggin' post office to you? This guy came in here with intent. Maybe he didn't know exactly what he was gonna do, but he had a pretty good idea. No.
Granted, the shootout can be explained by anyone, but it's way too amusing when Willem Dafoe is doing it, so find any contrived way to make that happen. Who cares if the audience is asking how these three got hired as detectives? Now let's talk about this scene.
It's ethics. I put evil men behind bars. But the law has miles of red tape and loopholes for these cocksuckers to slip through. I'm beginning to see all the things I wish I could do. These guys are doing. I will help them.
Did this come out of nowhere? Now keep in mind, I was paying attention to everything Smecker was doing because I knew this was coming. So here's what I found.
Okay, people, okay. This is our official statement. The McManus brothers are not being charged with the crime. This is a clear-cut case of self-defense.
No, that's all wrong. David Delro. I missed it.
So, I see how it can be argued that he felt this way the whole time, but I think the evidence is minimal at best. I seriously doubt anyone saw this coming the first time they watched Boondock Saints, and I seriously doubt anyone couldn't believe they didn't see this coming. It seems like they needed to find a way to end the police investigation while making sure it's not a loose plot thread. This way, Connor and Murphy McManus get to have their cool scene at the end. Let's compare this to another twist in the film. Il Duce joins the brothers in their cause. For those of you who don't know, Il Duce is a man hired by the Mafia whose speciality is killing gangsters. He's also part of this shootout. I did not remember any of this the first time I saw this movie. But when he says this...
that our feet may swiftly carry out thy command. We will flow a river forth unto thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be. In only partridge Filly Spiritus Sancti.
I was confused at first, but then I made the connection. He's good at killing gangsters, therefore he doesn't like them. So when he meets other people who also like to kill gangsters, then he will want to join their cause. So, why am I able to make this connection even after forgetting everything about this character, yet I can't make the connection between Smecker and his real views? So how does this movie end? Definitely with one of the coolest scenes in the movie.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
Seriously, how did I forget about this? They're in a courtroom letting everyone know they're going to enact their own form of justice. They're going to kill the mob leader in front of everyone while this really cool choir is in the background.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow a river forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii Spiritus Sancti.
It's so cool! As for the interviews at the end of the movie, yeah, I was wrong. True, you're gonna have people who think these guys are great, but then you're also gonna have people who say things like this.
This is going to create something so much worse.
I don't think so at all.
Well, I think you're just naive then.
They should be in every major city.
Every major city. These guys are playing God. I mean, this whole religious twist. Who the hell do they think they are?
Who are they to be judge and jury?
And I believe this is how people would react if this was real. So I definitely enjoyed this movie more the second time I watched it. Whether or not you agree with the morals, this movie is not meant to be taken seriously and isn't advocating that you go out and kill people in the criminal underworld. It has good action, good comic relief, and this has to be one of Willem Dafoe's best performances. So that's my second viewing of the Boondock Saints. Thank you for watching.